Okay, welcome to factorizing quadratic expressions. Today we're going to be factorizing quadratic expressions, which is basically writing these expressions with brackets. Now, but before we do that, I'm going to take you back quickly to expanding quadratic brackets. So we say that if you have x plus 3 and you have x plus 4, and if you expand them, you're going to have x times by x, which is x squared. Then you do x times by 4, which is 4x and is plus. So once you've done the x, now you do the 3. So 3 times by x becomes 3x. Then 3 times by 4 becomes 12. Okay. Now once you've done that, then you're going to simplify. So I've got x squared. The 4x plus 3x is 7x. And then I've got the 12. Okay. So if you simplify, so that's that. So what they can ask you in exam is then to factorize. So when you're factorizing, you're writing them back with those two brackets. Okay. So they give you this and they just ask you to factorize, which means they want you to get back those brackets. Now, what I want you to see quickly is this. What I want you to see quickly is this, that this 12, the 12 came from timesing this 3 by this 4. Right? So if I want to see what number goes here at the end and goes here at the end, I will need to think about two numbers that I times to get this 12. And of course, there's so many. But you see, if you look at this 7 here, where did you get this 7 from? This 7, you got it from the 4 plus the 3. In other words, you added this number to that number to get this 7. So we are looking for two numbers that if we times, okay, if you times them, you get the 12, but if you add, you get 7. So obviously those numbers will be 3 and 4. Now immediately you get that, you put one of them in here and you put one of them there. They are both positives, so you write plus in front. Now, this x squared, where it came from was this x times by this x. So obviously in front here, I'm going to have x and I'm going to have x. And that's how to do that. Okay. Now let's look at question A and question B quickly. Let's look at question A and question B quickly. They're asking you to factorize the expression, which means writing the expression using brackets. So factorizing means writing the expressions using brackets. So that's what we want to do now. Okay. Right. So the expression they're giving me is x squared plus 7x plus 10. Right. So the first thing I need to do quickly is to can copy the equation. So x squared plus 7x plus 10. Now, first, one thing that I know is that I will need to have two brackets. Now, two brackets will always come from quadratic expressions. So if you have x squared somewhere, then obviously when you factorize this, you'll always end up with two brackets. Okay. Right. So I know that this x squared will have come from x times x. So x in this first one and x in this first one. Then this 10 will have come from two numbers you times to get the 10. So I can put the 10 here and I just put times behind it to tell me that I'm looking for two numbers to times to get that 10. Now this 7 will have come from two numbers that you add to give you that 7. Okay, like we saw earlier. So I'm thinking about two numbers I times to get 10, but I add to get 7. Now what I can do is quickly to think about the numbers I can times to get 10, and I can do that here. Now 1 times 10 is 10, 2 times 5 is 10. So I'm going to look for the pairs that if I add, I get 7. Obviously, if I do 1 plus 10, I get 11. So that is just basically out. And the answer is 2 and 5. Okay, so the 2 and 5 will work for that and will work for this. So immediately I get that. I put one of them in front, maybe the smaller one, and then the other one at the other end. They are both positives. That's why I'm putting plus. So if they're positive numbers, you just basically put plus. And that's the end to that. Now, looking at the second example, I've got a negative there, but that should scare me. Just do it likewise. Okay, so with the second one, I've got x squared plus 2x minus 15. And again, the same way, I know this is quadratic, so I'm going to have two brackets, obviously. And I know that this x squared will have come from x times by x. Now, this 15 here will have come from two numbers at times to get 15, but it's negative 15, remember, because it says minus in front. And then this 2 here will have come from two numbers I add to get 2. Okay. Now, starting with 15, think about the numbers you can times get 15. The first one is 1 times by 15. The other one is going to be 3 times by 5. Okay. Right. Now, for me to times the numbers to give me negative 15, it means that one of them has to be negative then. Right? So this could be negative, or it could be like this. Okay. So either is negative 1 and 15, or is 1 and negative 15, whichever one. Now, I need to see if I add these two, or if I add these two, can I get 2 there? If I can't, then they're just out, right? So negative 1 plus 15 is 14, so that's out. 1 plus negative 15 is negative 14, so that's out. So these ones are just out, so there's even no need trying them. They're not working for adding. They're working for timesing, but they're not working for adding. Right, so let's try these ones. Now, if I times these two together, for the answer to be negative, it means that either negative 3 is negative and 5 is positive, or 3 is positive and 5 is negative. So there are two options, either this option or that option. Now let's check if it works for this. If I do negative 3 add 5 in the number line, I get 2. Okay? But if I do 3 plus negative 5, I end up with negative 2. So this doesn't work. The only thing that works is basically going to be negative 3 and 5. You understand? Okay. Right, so I'm going to put the first one there, and I'm going to put the second one there. So I've got negative 3 there, which is that, and I've got 5, which is positive. I put it there, and that is the end to that. Right, so I want you to pause the video, and I want you to just try these ones quickly. They're all positives. Okay. Right, so hope you've tried that. So I'm just going to put the answers down for this to help you out. And there is the answers. So if you're going to take your work quickly, so mark your work quickly. Okay, hope you've done well on that. Moving on to the next bit. I would like you to try question 2. So pause the video and try question 2 quickly, please. There's a lot of negatives here, so there's a lot to be done on this one. Okay, hope you've tried that. So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to do question H for you, and I'm going to do question J, and I'm going to do question L here for you. So let's start with question M. So I've got m squared minus 2m minus 8. Straight away, I need two brackets because m is squared. So it's going to be two brackets. This m will have come from m times by m straight away. Now, I'm looking for two numbers that if I times, I get negative 8. And if I add, I get the number in front of this m here. So it's negative 2. So if you add them, you're getting negative 2. Okay. So quickly think about the numbers you times get negative 8. I'm going to have to do 2 and 4, or I could do 1 and 8. Okay, these are the only options. Now, for me to times them and get negative, it means that either I'll have negative 2 and 4, or I'm going to have 2 and negative 4. Okay. With this one, I'm going to have negative 8 and 8, or it's going to be 1 and negative 8. So for me to times two numbers and get a negative, it means one of them is negative. Now, I want to check this. If I add them, I get negative 2, and check this, and then check this, and check this, and I see which one works. So let's start with that. So if you do negative 2 in the number line and you're adding 4, right, you ending up with 2, not negative 2. So this one is out. Okay. Now, if you start at 2 and you're adding negative 4, or if you start with negative 4 in the number line and add 2 steps forward, you end up with negative 2. So that one is the one that is working. So there's no need then to try this. Okay. Right, so the answer is going to be 2 and negative 4. So I like to put the negative in front and the positive one at the back. So that becomes that. Okay, let's do question J. So let's do question J. Question J, I've got q squared minus 8q plus 15. Okay, quickly, I've got two brackets on that. Now this q will have come from q times by q. And this negative 8, and this 15 will have come from two numbers that if I times, I get 15. And then if I add them, I get this number in the middle, so negative 8. Okay. Right, so we're looking for two numbers you times to get 15. They could be 1 and 15, or they could be 3 and 4. No, 3 and 5. So 1 and 15. So got 1 and 15, or it could be 3 and 5. Those are the only two options. Okay, now for me to times two numbers get 15, it means that either those two numbers are positive or they are both negative. It's possible that they can both be negative because negative times negative is positive. So it could be this one or it could be this one. Or it could be 3 times 5 or even negative 3 and negative 5 because negative times negative gives me positive. So now I want to see the ones if I add, I get negative 8. Let's start. 1 plus 15 is 16, so that doesn't work. Okay. Negative 1 plus negative 5, yeah, so you are owing 1 plus 1 pound and you're owing 15 pounds. Altogether, you're owing 16 pounds. So it's negative 16. So that doesn't work there either. Okay. Then I'll try this one here. 3 add 5 is 8, is not negative 8. So that doesn't work. So I'm only hoping that the last one is the one that works. Let's try. I owe 3 pounds and I owe 5 pounds. Altogether, I owe 8 pounds. So that's negative 8. So these two are the ones that are working. So I'm having here negative 3 and I'm having here negative 5. You put negatives if they're negative numbers, okay? So hoping on that. Then I'm going to do the last one for you. I'm going to do question L. By this time now, you should be able to do question L yourself. Actually, you should be able to do that yourself now, okay? Using the same approach. So what I'm going to do now is just to show you the answers. So then you can just basically mark your work. Show you the answers, then you can just basically mark your work. Okay, so try question 2, please. Mark your answer for question 2. Quickly, the answer over there for you. With this topic, you have to be very good in your number line and in negative numbers. You got to be very confident with your negative numbers. Okay. Right. So hope you done well on that one. And that's the end of this session.